Welcome back to another edition of Global Book Network, the show where we sit down with authors and ask them about the projects they create. Because, of course, we all should read just a little bit more. My name is Lobo Boyce, and on this episode, I'm being joined by author Carol Pegg, who is the author of The Sweet Adventures of Silly Tilly. What's going on?
That's me. Well, it's by my birth and life in Zambia. I was born in Lusaka, which is the capital city of Zambia, Central Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny because in my grown up years, was a fine dining waitress. So I would tell people I had this thick English accent, and people would ask me where I was from. And I'd say Lusaka, Zambia. And 90% of people have never heard of the country Zambia. So I'd have to take my time out and explain where Zambia was, and I'd get into it. And I would be told over and over so many times by my customers in a restaurant that I, as a waitress, their server for the evening, that I should write a book. Why don't I write a book? So finally, here I am, pretty much retired. So I wrote a book. I started in August 16th of last year, and I had my manuscript sent to publishers by January 13th of this year. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's been an adventure, another adventure in my life. It's just been fabulous. I've met some wonderful people. Now I'm meeting you as well. And Rose is fabulous too. So it's just been a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, and fun is what
yes.
we're here for. So Lusaka, it's like the major city. I guess.
Let's see.
What's city life like? High rises? Was it like just the
Well,
the, the
the thing
cosmopolitan
is,
culture? Or
I was born there, but we actually lived in the city of Ndola, which is a
oh,
couple hours away. And there again, I was only in Ndola until I was the age of 1, so I don't remember any of that. I just know the history that my parents told me about my childbirth and my first year of my life. But so I remember moving. We moved to Kitwe, to what was then Garneton,
mhm.
this residential area, 5-acre properties, to this beautiful, huge house, and that's where I grew up. And
Yeah,
as I grew up, my daddy had a pool built. I was in the pool all the. I mean, I that's how I learned when I first learned to swim. I was probably 2 years old when I learned to swim, and we would also take trips. Drive. My daddy loved to drive everywhere,
mhm.
and he would take us every year. We would go to Beira, Mozambique, which is now Maputo, Mozambique, and went through a lot of politician things, war, etc. Mozambique, but I remember that was the first time being in the ocean. I was 3 years old, so all my memories go back to ages three and up. So that's
Yeah.
when I got called Silly Tilly because I was doing something. I was 3 or 4 years old. I think I was in the garden digging in the dirt or something, covered in mud or something like that. And we had these incredible anthills all over the property. It was, like I say, 5 acres, and just every fruit tree you could imagine growing: mangoes, guavas, um, pears, apples, oranges, lemons, limes, bananas. My favorite was the mangoes. That's what I just love to eat. And
Mhm.
but so I had a very idyllic upbringing, and I went to public school until the age of 10, where the school system was just falling apart. I was only one of six non Black children in the school. All the other children were native Zambians. And the main language spoke, there are 72 languages in Zambia. But Bemba is the most spoken one. And all of the other languages kind of integrate into it. They just kind of diversify in between them. But anyway, but the thing is, it was mandatory to speak English in schools and conducting business, etc. So everyone had to be speaking English all the time. And so I learned a few words of Bemba here and there, but nothing that I can really. I do remember some, but not really. Um,
Right.
we had a house servant, a Black gentleman, and two Black gentlemen gardeners, and they were my best friends. Which was in that part of the world, it's not apartheid in Zambia, but the stigma of, if you're either white, Black, or colored. If you're
Correct.
not if you're not white, you're just a second class citizen. That's how you're treated. My mother was born in South Africa, in Cape Town, South Africa. Her father was Dutch. Her mother was East Indian, which was taboo in that part of the world to have a mixed marriage. And so anyway, I picked up. If I'm in the sun, I go really, really, really brown. I'm white right now, but if I live in Hawaii, for heaven's sake. And I used to, when I moved to Hawaii in 1986, I lived, I was caretaker of a Catholic church for 8 years, with the father of my child, my first husband. And, but I was caretaker for a Catholic church. So I went to church all the time, which was a wonderful, that's how I was raised anyway, was a Catholic church. And, so God is magic. I pray all the time for everything that happens to me. I there again, I cherish it as a reason of something. If it's not the best thing that I'm enjoying at the time, I embrace it as another lesson in life, and
Yeah.
that's just like I say, attitude is everything. And um, but like I say, I had a very idyllic life. But at the age of 10, my parents took me out of public school, and
Mhm.
my parents ordered a home a correspondence course from London, England, the UK. And so I was had we my father had put on an addition to our house to double the size of what it was. Two more bedrooms and another bathroom, but the what was supposed to be the bathroom became my classroom. So it was kind of a really it was a room that was designed to be a bathroom. So the lighting was just terrible. There was just one tiny, very narrow window in the top of the outside wall. It was maybe a foot tall, and that was the only natural light we had in the room. But I had my desk, my special desk that my daddy had bought, and my mommy had a desk too, and she was my teacher and I was a student. And I was 10 years old, and that's why I learned all the things. I mean, I had to read a book. I was we only had one television in the house, but there was only one channel, and it was only 4 hours a night.
Okay.
That was the only TV we had. So I was every night we would have our formal sit down dinner that Mommy had made, saved away for hours during the afternoon. She was a first class cook, and I learned how to cook from my mother. She was amazing, and bake and sew and knit and crochet.
Wow.
And yes, in fact, let me show you something.
Please show me.
Okay, this is one of my crochet jackets,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's beautiful. It's it's huge. But anyway, this is what I wear all the time. But it goes over your head. And I'm making my husband a jacket right now for Christmas. He doesn't
Oh,
know it, but
right.
he's wondering what I'm crocheting in bed every night. And I say, it's none of your business. So he knows better than to even ask me anymore. But I
Right.
that's my only time to crochet. He's retired now. And yeah, so anyway, but yes, my mommy learned me. I still have my mother's Bernina sewing machine that I just turned 60. This Bernina, it's in storage right now. It's older than me.
Yeah.
My mother made all of my clothes on this Bernina machine. And so when she passed away, I inherited her Bernina machine, which is one of the only things I moved with from Canada to Hawaii. And I made my wedding gown on this machine, this beautiful lace, full length wedding dress that just gets rave reviews. And I was thinking about going into business making wedding gowns, but I never did that. I did other businesses still have now to this day. And anyway, so um, yes, but being homeschooled, just when I got moved to Canada, I was a year ahead because I was tested, and everything that I knew, I was a year ahead of my age group. So
Mm.
I had this thick English accent. I'm put into a grade higher than myself, and higher than everyone else. And I was just considered there again. I'm trying to make friends. I was assigned two young ladies that just were told to escort me around and show me the ropes and all of that. Tamia and Kathy. I remember the names still to this day. And they were really good to me. And I ended up making good friends. And yes, but it was very, very strict upbringing. I got spanked every day.
Mhm.
If my tone of voice was off, I got whacked across the face. If my mother didn't like the way I talked to her during the day, Daddy would come home from work at 4:30 p.m. and she would tell him what I had said wrong. I'd be spanked and sent to my room for half an hour. I was just used to it. The spanking didn't hurt. It just
Right.
was, a wake up like, okay, I'll just go to my room, Daddy. Yes, I'm sorry, Mommy. And would go to my room. And I was expected to be composed and come out by 5:30 for dinner, our sit down formal dinner. and we were expected to eat everything on our plates,
Mm-hmm.
and it was always the dinner table was set with formally set with a fish fork, a dinner fork, and the same thing, a fish knife and a dinner knife and a butter knife. And my mother baked all the bread, all the scones, and all of that for serve at dinner. And that was we had our afternoon tea at 4 p.m. when Daddy got home from work. Then dinner was at 5:30, so we had to rush and have our tea and scones, and then expect to have an appetite for dinner too.
Huh.
But I was well fed, yes. So, and yes, my mommy grew all the vegetables that we ate. She had this incredible vegetable garden that I'm trying to um, replicate here in Hawaii, which there's no excuse not to. But living in volcano at 3,700 feet,
Right.
the climate is it's chilly. We had the heater on last evening at 5:30 in the evening, and I had a sweater on until this conversation of ours started because I'm animated a little bit. I'm not sorry. I'm
No,
sorry, Tilly.
yeah, I love the fact you're living up to your name. No, I mean the Big Island in Hawaii has like multiple climate zones. It's like it's tropical, it's
I'm
cold, it's like high elevation, but
well, as of tonight, we have snow on Mauna Kea. We have
yeah.
you can ski. You can either surf in the morning and ski in the afternoon, or vice versa. And people do that. I would go up to Mauna Kea just to play in the snow with my son when he was a teenager, little boy,
Mhm.
and I would load up my truck with he and his. I could fit him in the passenger seat with 3 or 4 of his friends in the back. There was a king cab because I would not allow children in the back of an open truck. It just is not what I allow. And I would have these 3 little boys sitting behind my seat and Derek's seat, and I would drive them up to Mauna Kea and we'd play in the snow and make snowmen and just have fun for the day. But the number of people I would meet that said, "Well, but now we're going surfing." And it was noon by that time. So they'd be heading down to the coast to catch an afternoon of surfing. So you can ski in the morning and surf in the afternoon, only on the Big Island. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could do it in other places in the world, but the Big Island is just unique to Hawaii. And we have 21 climates on this island, everything from desert to rainforest to volcanoes to everything in between, the ocean, the mountains, the snow. And only on Haleakala on Maui does it snow. Not every year because it's not. It's a little lower than Mauna Kea. Is the tallest mountain in the world,
Right.
for from sea level. So as opposed to Everest, I think it is, but I forget at this point. I'm sorry, but yes, but Mauna Kea, we can see it from our house. We just have to drive, just go to the end of the driveway, and we can see the lava flowing from Kilauea and see Mauna Kea in the background. So it's just an epic. The views are just epic. The driving, like tomorrow, we have to go to Hilo Town or to Waimea, which is where my PO box is. 2 hour drive from where I live, but that's okay. Like I say, the scenery is just epic, and there are wild goats, sheep, cows, wild horses, wild, like I say, sheep, pigs. The pigs just they run around the highway in herds, and what not too often, but often enough, you'll see a pig that's been hit on the side of the road,
All
which is
right.
sad. But that drivers are just driving. I mean, you can be the number of times just myself driving along the highway, I've had to stop and that pigs cross the road, and so people. Fortunately, I've never hit an animal, but
Right.
other people have, and so yeah, but that's just part of their game. God, that is the reason. So, but anyway, yeah. So we always have these. Parker Ranch is the biggest ranch in the whole state, and we have to drive through Parker Ranch, and it is fenced the whole way, and we see these herds of cattle just grazing freely, and these ranchers on their horses just herding these cattle. I mean, it's entertaining the whole way, and
Yeah.
you get to experience the cool of volcano, and then you drive down to the coast. There are two highways to go all the way to Kona. The ocean road, the highway that goes along the ocean on the ocean road, which is just right above sea level. That's for all main beaches, the major beaches that are accessible or you have to hike to, are on the Kohala Coast, it's called. And the Kohala Coast is where I lived. I was caretaker of the Catholic Church. But it's just it's the experience every time. And I always pack a picnic out there. Again, I love to cook, and I'm just I've been writing for hours and hours or studying. I'm on my fourth college degree right now. I have psychology, forensic science, the science of nutrition. Now I'm studying computer programming.
Well,
Com-
hold
com-
on, hold on, hold on. I'm
com-
sorry. So you
com-
crochet,
com-
you cook,
so
you drive, your fourth college. How do you find the time? How do you find the time to do it all?
I'm busy. I'm lucky if I sleep for 3 hours a night. I
Yeah.
try. I try to discipline myself at about 3 p.m. and say, okay, Carol, just lie down for 20 minutes. So I'll turn on something really boring on TV. I prefer music. Just give me rock and roll anytime. I will be boogieing, rocking out and rolling in the kitchen to loud rock and roll
Like
music.
who? Who's your
Give
favorite
me
band?
AC/DC, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Billy Idol, um, um, gosh, Elton John for more mellow side. But no, just rock and roll. I'm just a rock and roller. And if I go to a nightclub, which is rare, I haven't been to a nightclub and I've lost track of how many years now because they're 2 hour drive just to get to a nightclub. So I'd rather just stay home and watch something on documentaries is all I really like to watch on TV. But no, I'm either reading or writing or cooking. And so when I just get burned out focusing on writing or something, I say, okay, Carol, it's time to get to the kitchen. And I just go to the kitchen. I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. I just open the fridge and I just start. I read recipes, but I follow them and I put them aside. The only recipes I follow strictly are baking because you're leavening, either your yeast or your baking powder or baking soda has to be in the right proportion to your
Right.
liquid level. So that can say baking is a science, but cooking,
Absolutely.
I mean, but cooking stews, I just throw what that's you put enough garlic and onions and pepper and spicy stuff. Spicy. I love spicy. I grew up my mother making Indian curry
Yeah.
was her thing. And she would mix, there was no such thing as curry powder bought in a bottle.
Right.
She would grow her spices and mix them up herself in her kitchen, which was a beautiful big kitchen in Zambia, in Garnton, which became my Tempe. And but yeah, what I made last night, my favorite thing to make is Thai seafood curry. So last night, that's what I made. I had all the leftover vegetables that were in the fridge, and I put in shrimp and scallops and crab, and that's in a can of coconut milk and Thai curry paste, and that is tonight's leftover dinner. So that I love to cook. You just give me just say something, and I'll start manifesting. My favorite word, thunkinate. I like to thunkinate about everything.
Okay. So, like, that leads to my second question. With the
Yes,
understanding about a series of memoirs, essentially about Saint
yes.
Tilly and how she, her, you went from
Tilly
Zambia,
Tilly.
yeah, Tilly, from Zambia to Canada to Hawaii. Now, I mean, I was gonna say it must have been a wild time, but I'm listening to the stories now. You're a fantastic storyteller. I can see how it went from one thing to another. So.
Sorry, I can jump around quite a bit,
No,
but
what what I liked
so,
about this series, and I really want you to expound upon it, is like understanding the kind of version of yourself you wanted to put on paper.
mhm,
Was it like a
mhm.
balance of being 100% you, what you take out, what you embellish? Like, what was that
It was
process like?
it was totally balanced. Um, I I could have honestly, I could have talked a little more about sex, but I just wanted to keep it G-rated
Hmm.
because my focus was really to have it for adults, but also where it could be used as a because in when I moved to Canada, being a year ahead of everyone, a year in higher grade, I was put into a gifted program out of 200 students in the school, there were only 23 students in this gifted program, and I was one of them. But the teacher, Mr. Bowker, the English teacher, would give us a book every Monday afternoon. It was our class. He would give us a book. We had to have that read by Thursday and have an essay written by Friday in a week. That's on top of we had heavy duty math homework every single night. At least every night I had 4 hours of homework every single night, even weekends. And so I've just been studious studier all my life. And so my books are, they're the real me. And when I read them out to Al about a couple months ago now, he was finally bored with watching TV, and I said, "Well, how about I just read my books to you?" Because he's fed up of hearing about it. He's wants to watch TV or play with the dogs or something else, which is fine. I mean, I like to deflect myself too, but um. So I was just reading out my books out loud, and I was actually cracking up at a couple of things that I read. I thought to myself, "That's the real me. That's the truth." And I didn't embellish anything. It's that's what you see is what you get. And my rules in my rules, people in my company, if you go hungry or thirsty in my company, it's your own fault, because I've made sure they have something to drink, something to eat, something, if they know where the bathroom is, they know if people like to pet the dogs. We have 2 dogs, and but yeah, so everything is the honest truth. It's the real me. And so now I have a friend of mine that's bought my books, and he now wants me to um, write one of my publishers actually, but he now wants me to write a tour. He's got me signed up with a tour and travel,
Mm.
tourism and travel business. And so he wants me to write about so what I've done, I've been researching all the countries, because my second book is Zambia and Beyond. I focus on every single country that that borders Zambia, which is landlocked by these 8 countries: Zaire, Angola, Botswana, Zimbabwe, which was Rhodesia, um, but Nyasaland.
The
Um,
DRC. I was like, there's no more Zaire. I don't think the Zaire exists anymore.
what's that?
I don't think Zaire exists anymore. Is that true? I think the name changed to the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
No, it used to be Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's now Zaire.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I was
Yeah.
that a flip?
No, no, no. But actually, when I lived in Africa, in Zambia, it was the Republic of the Congo, or just the Congo.
Hmm.
For sure, it was just called the Congo. Um, it's like Zambia was the Republic of Zambia. But they dropped all those unnecessary names and just came to the one name. So yes, the Republic of the Congo is now Zaire,
Okay.
and it's like I mean, Rhodesia used to be, well, now it's now Zimbabwe, but it used to be Rhodesia, which is where we went every year, which is where my father's mother and her second husband lived. My real grandfather passed away quite young. I was very close to him actually, but so we did go and visit Grandma and Uncle Mick in Zaire, but we would go to Rhodesia pretty much every Christmas. And there again, my daddy loved to drive. It was like a 14-hour drive from Kitwe, from Garnison at that point, which became Itimpi after the government changed. And but so politics, etc. But um, but now Rhodesia became Zimbabwe, and
Okay.
so it used to be Salisbury, but now it's Harare, which is now the capital of Zimbabwe is Harare. But it used to be Salisbury, Rhodesia, when I was growing up. And
Right.
so we love our trips for 2 weeks over Christmas and New Year's to Grandma's house. And they had a pool, which was a major attraction for me as well. The fact that there was a pool, and but my favorite thing was their fish pond, because it was deep enough to wade in. So I'd be given a handful of fish food, and I'd wade into the fish pond and feed the fish from just standing in a bikini, a little bathing suit that I was wearing as a little girl, and feed the fish. And I was just in my element in the fish pond feeding fish.
Yeah, that sounds
So
like a cool
yes,
time. But
yes,
if
yes.
someone's picking up a copy of the Adventures of Silly Tilly, or the Sweet Adventures of Silly Tilly, what do you expect them to extract from your story and how it could apply to your life?
Um. Well, I just say that. Say that
Yeah,
question again.
for sure, sure, sure. As we
Just
wind this
like
down here today on Global Book Network, if someone were to pick up a copy of the Sweet
yes.
Adventures of Silly Tilly, of
Oh,
any books in the series, what do you expect them to extract from your work?
oh, gratitude for what we have here in America or in out of Africa because the main reason everyone when my parents, my father was from London, England, my mother from South Africa, she always tried to be lily white. And so, but we were surrounded by black people. And there again, I got spanked every day for sitting out with the black servants while they were having their lunch break. They were my friends. They would help me catch um, caterpillars to feed to the birds. And and help me catch butterflies. I have this huge butterfly collection. It's in storage. I don't have access to it right now, but but they would help me catch caterpillars to feed to the birds that we had, and so but so to extract from my stories, I would love to for them to have the education to travel to that part of the world and respect and courtesy for the local people because they're really good people. They're very the religion is there are many religions from Christianity. I was raised Catholic, Hindu. There's, I mean, you've got every gamut of religions. The local religion, the black people's different religions that I don't know all the names to, but they're just very highly respectful of everything. Like the Bemba language, my father was a, a black boss. I mean, a white boss or a boss of any color was called Bwana, 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 and they would
Mm-hmm.
bow and they would bow and have their hands together and say hello Bwana or good morning Bwana, and they're very respectful of the white people, the non-black people. I mean, they're respectful of each other. But so that I think I just want people to really understand how diverse um, Africa is and how many. I mean, every country has its own, you know, own politics going on, and they're fighting over something, and so I think yes, just to yeah, just courtesy and respect, but to light the fire of somebody of people wanting to travel there, and just to be humble and not stuck up and I'm white, I'm better than you, I've got all the money kind of thing, which is I witnessed it, um, and so, but I've never been like that. I never will be. And living in Hawaii, Hawaii is such a melting pot of cultures. It really is. And
Mm-hmm.
you've got your Hawaiians, you've got your hula, you've got your Japanese, which is that Japanese are very powerful here. I worked for 10 years in a Japanese restaurant. I speak restaurant Japanese. I speak French. I was taught French in high school, and my mommy taught me French in Africa. That was one of my my classes. Um, so um, yes, so to answer that question would just be to read my stories and just um, yes, I don't doubt that they'll respect them, but just to have the idea of humility and respect and courtesy and understanding of the hardships that the black people go through. I mean, the poverty is just incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, and my daddy was well, I'm sorry to say it, Daddy, but my daddy was one of the biggest bigots I've ever met in my life. Being from London, England, he just was an upper class white man, made very good money. He was the manager. He ran a plastics factory, and he was just did everything plastic. And but he just would just not treat the black people very well, our servants. And I remember, it's in my book. Um, um, at the age of 4, humbly crouching behind the kitchen, the courtyard door. We never had a horse, but we had a courtyard for a horse. Um, but it was a Friday afternoon, and he was paying our black servants, our 2 gardeners and our black house servant. Um, they were called, like, the house servant was called a house boy, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember arguing with my daddy saying, "Daddy, he's not a boy, he's a man, he's a house man." And I got spanked for that and sent to my room too. But I was young. I knew I'd get spanked. I knew I'd get scoldings, but I didn't care. I cared, but I had an opinion to
Mm-hmm.
share and get across, even as a young little girl. I because these older Black gentleman treated me like a queen. I was called Madam Carol.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the age of, I remember as young as the age of 3, hello, Madam Carol, how are you today? And, that just they had respect for me. And I just grew up with that respect from the Black people. So I get goosebumps just talking like this about it. But it's a very humbling experience. And just for me to pay attention and talk to them and just sit, and they would like say, help me catch caterpillars for feeding the birds. And, um, I had 8 cats, 3 dogs, a guinea pig, a rabbit, um, and tons of birds in the garden. And in a cage in the house, we had budgies, and I had an African gray parrot that had that could talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I mean, would have conversations with this parrot. And yeah, so I had an African gray parrot here in Hawaii too. But yeah, so yes, just to just see Africa as just to be able to step aside from the politics and the unrest and the uprising of the people, just fighting for their freedom, for their respect, fighting for what they deserve. Basically, it's just as human beings, we all deserve respect and kindness, and to do unto others as you would have done unto you. That's a major philosophy that I think that everyone should live by, and
Mm-hmm.
or try to anyway. It's not always easy, but yes. So
Well, thank you
yes,
so
yeah.
much. Thanks so much for your
Well,
time.